It is Twyla Paris, runner. It's 27 minutes to 11 here on Star. You with Lizzie. And joining me back in the studio today, Head of Digital here at Rhema Media, my friend Justin Smith. Kia ora, good morning.
Morena, how are we?
Good. Lovely to have you back. Now, last time you came in and we chatted about AI. We're going to continue to talk about AI today. Last time we were talking about old Chat GPT, the AI chat bot that trawls the internet for the answer to our questions. And, you were sort of talking about it and I was like, feeling this sense of resistance to the old Chat GPT. And then it was quite funny. I was back at my desk later in the day and Cathy and Peter were talking about it. And they used it and basically said, well, basically paraphrased, you snooze, you lose, like you've got to be up with what's actually happening. And so I thought, okay, and I did go on it and use it for something. I found it helpful. So I just thought I was actually motivated by them to actually not have my head in the sand, right?
Yeah, good on you. Yeah, that's it. Once you figure out, because it's a tool, it's new, people have to be curious and figure out how it's best used for them, if at all. Because the answer might be actually there's no use for them for this. Yeah, of
course. But I think there can be this resistance to change.
Absolutely.
And I'm just recognising my own, making a public confession.
Good on you.
But today, Justin, I wanted to invite you back in to talk about a couple of other things around AI, which I guess it's a very big world. One of them being something that I've heard about and I don't really understand too much about, called deep fakes that are on the internet.
Yes.
What exactly is that?
A deep fake. Okay, so now we're going into the world of visual media.
Yeah.
Photos is generally where it started, but it's now migrated into videos as well. So a deep fake is essentially what it says on the tin. It's a fake of something done in a very deep and rich manner. So in the most common instances, you would see photos or now videos of celebrities, presidents in the past. Obama was one of the most original deep fakes that went viral of what literally looked like President Barack Obama at the time giving a speech that was completely fictional.
Yes.
And made up.
Yeah. Now that's kind of scary, right?
Very.
Because, it kind of means that somebody can manipulate an image.
Yes.
Create a speech and then put this information out there. And for us, members of the public, consumers, how are we going to know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest concerns is, one of the biggest buzzwords on the internet at the moment is misinformation. It has been since the 2016 elections. And deep fakes have been considered as potentially one of the future concerning areas for, misinformation, where perhaps you would watch a video from someone who says something that is, incongruent to what they would normally say or just made up completely or slightly, maybe just 2 degrees away from what you would expect or what is truthful to them.
Yeah, so you think it's real, right?
Correct. And that's what's the most scary, perhaps, use case of deepfakes in a world of misinformation. Yeah,
so that's just something really to be aware of, isn't it? That just because we flick on the computer, we jump onto the internet, just because something comes across our path, it doesn't mean that it's, real in many senses, right?
No, exactly. And so, I always point back to this. It's something that I constantly preach, especially with my children. Maybe not preach, but the lesson that I really want them to learn, and I think that everyone needs to try and get acquainted with, is just having that really keen eye and spirit of discernment. And it's not just because of the deepfake. That's something we should have in general, right? If someone comes to you and says, "Hey, Lizzie, did you know such and such and such and such?" You might take them at their word, but they might have just had the information misconstrued or just not quite right and misrepresenting it to you. So you should already have a bit of discernment to go, "Oh, that's great. I will perhaps go and do my research, dig into that a bit deeper and corroborate, yes, that is in fact the facts." Or actually, hold on, you missed a detail that was rather important. So in a world of misinformation, it's now even more important, in my opinion, to be incredibly discerning with what you watch, what you consume, the information you take on, and to just go and perhaps, when it's especially important around, say, issues of political, medical, mental health, whatever it is, do a bit of research and it'll take you 2 seconds perhaps to go, actually, that's completely false.
Yeah.
Or, wow.
Yeah, so it's not being gullible, right? It's not just taking things at face value. It's actually taking a bit of time to consider, listen to your own inner wisdom as well, right?
Yeah.
Does this sort of line up? Yeah, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so we were talking about an example that happened in recent weeks, which was very entertaining.
Yes, this was very entertaining.
Yes.
After the coronation, King Charles' coronation, there was a whole bunch of photos that came out looking like it was their after party. It was like a disco. It was
Yes.
all very retro looking and funky outfits, but it was all sort of a bit tongue in cheek, right?
Absolutely.
You knew it wasn't real.
Well, you did know it wasn't real, but perhaps a lot of people went, there's absolutely no way King Charles did it. Maybe they didn't know. So for us, we have a level of a threshold of naivety where we go, that's clearly satire.
Yeah.
But perhaps if it had been toned down a little bit and
The colour grading wasn't so obvious. And
yeah,
things
exactly.
Like that.
Then perhaps you'd have gone, I cannot believe this. And going back a few weeks earlier than that, there was the picture of the Pope in that long street wear urban jacket, which everyone was like, oh my goodness, up in arms. I can't believe the Pope looks so fresh. He looks so hip and urban. Completely made up again.
Yeah.
But that was in a potential use case where we sort of went, is that real? Because that could be. I mean, it's a bit far out for the Pope, but
Yeah, and it just makes me think, say if, I mean, this is just off the cuff, but if somebody wanted to, get legal with someone, they don't even know where these things are made up from, right? It's not like when a newspaper would print a photo and you'd know where the source came from. These days, you're not going to necessarily know. It's Joe Blogg's 14-year-old in his back of his room sitting in Wales,
Correct. It's the anonymity of the internet. And that's what's really concerning is knowing exactly where the stuff comes from. Yeah.
But one thing around the photos, for example, I know there's ways of actually spotting them, right? Isn't there something, well, one of the ways, is there something weird about the hands, or is it like an extra finger or something?
Yeah, so that's with AI-generated artwork. So it's loosely in the world of deepfakes, but a few things. Quite often, the details can be slightly off. So with videos, perhaps it's the way in which the eye movements happen is slightly unnatural.
Yes.
Sometimes you watch the video and go, that person didn't blink.
Yeah.
It's the small details like that which the AI hasn't yet caught on to. Another really good one is actually if you're interacting with a generative AI video, ask it to turn its head to the side, because so often the data that's used to train these artificial intelligence models don't account for the three-dimensional nature of a person's face. And so when they go to the profile of looking side on, it starts to look a bit funky.
Pixelated or
Exactly.
something.
And so with the finger example that you mentioned just before, that's been happening in a lot of AI-generated images featuring people's hands. AI hasn't yet clicked onto the fact that a hand has 5 digits. It loosely knows that there's some, but when it generates the AI, the artwork based on the data it has, sometimes there's 6, sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's 1.
Okay, I haven't seen those ones.
And perhaps tentacles, very long digits as well. It's getting there, but some of those details are just so out of place. You go, okay, that is fake.
Yeah. So really, at the end of the day, it's just about being aware, isn't it? Being sort of, instead of street smart, well, that's always good. But it's like you need to have your online smarts sort of operating, don't you?
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll workshop that term. We'll find one. But yes, it's the digital smarts to go, suspicious.
Yeah. Hey, great to catch up with you, Justin. Thanks for your input. We'll see you next time.
No worries.